Hi folks, it's John from lastchanceautorestore.com. I'd like to share with you another update. This is the 1956 Volkswagen Beetle, or Oval rear window, as a lot of people like to refer to these as. In the last few days we've been making quite a bit of progress on the fabrication and metalwork. It takes a lot of time. It looks really easy right now, but there's a lot that got us to this point. In a previous video we shared with you the rear apron and the different pieces and components that needed to be replaced in this back section, which is really common in all Beetles. So with this one, you can see we now have cut out the old piece that was in here that was all kind of homemade, and it had the rear bumper brackets all kind of homemade and patched in. So we were able to take a lot of measurements and mark everything out. We cut out the old piece, welded in the new, and then we dry fitted everything first, which is a really important step. So we dry fitted the fenders on, we dry fitted the rear apron because we wanted to make sure that everything lined up properly, and then there was a considerable amount of work that had to be done in the engine bay area. So now you can see that's the back driver's side. There's a seal that's really important in the air-cooled, and you can see these are separate pieces, but you can see how nice everything lines up. So this separate piece has been welded in, this tray piece. There's a rubber seal that goes into this channel, and then you can see these line up perfectly and then come around to the rear apron. Our lower section is all brand new, the back section is new, and then we have this whole back apron in place, and then we also have the whole pardon me, the whole passenger side also done with all new steel, and then the apron. So as we come back a little bit, you can see from this side where we follow along, all of our factory lines are exactly as they should be, and we dry fitted the engine lid and the fenders on because we wanted to make sure that all these seams are correct, and then there's still a little bit of grinding and stuff to do here, but we have the proper factory lines as they were back in '56. And then you can see we have the fender, the driver's side fender. Both of them needed a substantial amount of work, and I'll come back to that. So we had the fender bolted on both sides, made sure everything fit properly before everything was welded in solid. And then as we come around this side, you can see how nice the apron looks, and then you get an idea of how nice the fender fits the body and all of these replacement panels. Now there will be a fender welt that's going to go in between here and all the way around. Pardon me, but we wanted to make sure that everything fit correctly so we can have all the same body lines as we normally have. And then you can see the bottom here where the fender meets the apron. It's perfectly flush, and I don't want to be cocky, but it's probably a little bit better than what it was back in '56 with mass production. So we have it lining up correctly here, and we did the same thing to the driver's side to make sure that the alignment is true and correct, so the spacing is right. If you don't take enough time to measure and mark and dry fit all of these components together, especially when they're all separate, it really throws off the alignment of the back of a Beetle. So you want to make sure, if you're ever going to have this done, that they dry fit everything first to make sure there's proper alignment, because the gaps, everything later on when it comes to reassembly won't go so smoothly if you skip this step or don't do the dry fitting before you continue on. And it's a little bit more extreme on the front nose because there's a lot more going on in the front when you replace all of those panels. Now when you come along to the passenger side with the camera, you can't see all of the metal work that was done because we still have to strip the rest of this off. We've been handling this fender quite a bit, so we didn't want to strip this yet complete to bare metal as we've done the body, because we've been handling this fender quite a few times. But you can see, and I'll share with you on the other fender, it was basically, it had a lot of pinholes and rot from this point virtually down to the bottom. So that's all new steel. We've made pieces, cut out the old, welded in the new, and then drilled the holes. So now this fender, now that we know it fits properly and is lined up correctly, what we'll do is we'll end up in the next couple of days, we'll strip this fender right down to bare metal, just like we've done the body here, where you can see the metal's really nice and clean. So we'll be doing that to this fender shortly, but we're still going to be handling it a couple more times. Then we'll just look at this driver's fender to give you an idea of how much work is involved or was involved in these fenders. So there's quite a bit of work down the bottom. It was all rotted. Pardon me. So we were able to repair this bottom section and make a patch for where there was a hole. I think the camera can probably pick that up. And then in the back side here, above where the overrider is, this is still going to need a little bit of work, but you can see in here where it was all rotted away, we've cut that out. We've made a new piece, marked and drilled the hole, the proper positioning hole for the fender bolts. So that's all new. And then as we come around, we'll flip the fender this way, and you can see same thing as the passenger side fender. This is all new essentially from here all the way to the bottom because it had a lot of corrosion. So I'll just flip that over so you can see we've made all that. So we have a lot of different tools, an English wheel and so on to make, and that's quite a difficult patch to do. Most people would do that in chunks and pieces and overlap it, where that's been made in one piece and hand worked and shaped. So that's still going to get quite a bit of refinishing. The fender will get all stripped to bare metal. It still has quite a bit of rust, as you can see, and some overspray from before. And then when we flip this fender towards you or towards the camera, you can see we have all of the holes drilled out, marked where they were. So all of that, the hard lifting, if you will, with the main metal repair has been completed to both of these fenders. So then what we'll end up doing is we'll dry fit this fender on again, just to be certain of the fit. We've had this probably on and off about 7 times through the process, just to make sure that everything is lining up properly and that we use all of the original factory stud holes, and then making sure that the replacement panels have the positioning right, because it needs quite a bit of massaging. These panels never just fit directly on. They need some modification and some shaping, because through the stamping process, when they make these aftermarket pieces, sometimes they lose part of the arc or the shape. So we want to make sure we work them with heat and dollies and so on to make sure that we have the correct fit. So it's coming along quite nicely. We'll do a little more work here on the back of this 56 Oval, and then we'll share with you in the next upcoming couple of videos the front section, because it needs quite a bit of work, the front and the front apron area. So this is just a quick update on the 56 Volkswagen Beetle. I thank you for watching. I'm John from lastchanceautorestore.com.